It gives me a great pleasure to be catching up with music director, singer, and the multi-talented Amaal Mallik. Welcome to East Wave Radio and Sunny Talkie, South Africa.
Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for making the time to chat to us this morning. Firstly, a huge congratulations on the success of Dil Ko Maine Di Kasam. 2 weeks after its
Thank-
release, and the song has managed 40 million views. How do you feel about this?
I'm obviously not surprised, but really overwhelmed because Bollywood and like Indian music has been going through this phase of a lot of remixes and rehashes of old songs. And after long, I'm seeing the audience accept original music again, so it feels good. And the number is good, but more than the number, it's the number of hearts are a lot, and a lot of people are loving the song. So I'm happy.
Why do you think the song has worked so well?
I think it has a very 90s melody, very simple, heartfelt. It's got the connect of that era, most 70s, 80s, 90s, those eras of melodies and a little writing which works maybe, even today, a youngster who listens to Hindi music, he will be able to easily understand the song because it's not too difficult, a verse. The poetry is very simple. I think that's the reason maybe why people love it.
What was the experience of working with the team?
So me and Kumar, the man who's written the song,
Yes,
he's
sir.
one of the biggest writers of this country, and he's written Suraj Dubai for me. He had written Main Hu, Hero Tera. Then he's written many songs, Tujhe Bhula Diya, like most successful songs of Bollywood. And if you search, you'll find this man's name there. So I remember when we began our journey with Suraj Dubai and Arijit, me and Kumar came together for the first time. Since then and up till now, it's been a really blessed journey. I feel a lot of people love our combination and they really look forward to the songs that we three make together. So I'm really happy. I'm glad.
Composing a song has to be a huge task. Share with us some of your insights when you work on the process of composing a song.
I very very rarely think of sitting down and making a song. I'm usually the person who might just get out for a drive or go meet a few friends. All of those things help me make music because I when I meet people or if I'm outside, it's more freer. I'm outside on the road just driving around listening to some music and something inside just inspires. So I'm not the one who composes everything in a studio. I come back and produce it in my studio, but the first few words or a first few verse, a small verse or a couplet or like a little melody, all of that comes to me, and I try to simplify it and send it to my lyricists and ask them, this is an idea or this is a mood that I'm thinking about, and let's see what you have. So there's a lot of back and forth with the writers. They have three, four ideas. I have three, four ideas, and we come to a point. But the main ingredient for these songs to, I feel the reason these songs have succeeded are because they're simple and there's no propaganda of sound. Like it's relevant, but it's not too in your face. It's not it's not taking over the melody or the lyrics. I try to keep a balance of electronic production and use a lot of live instruments. So together that blend, helps a lot of people feel, the music is enriching. It doesn't just leave you with a beat. It leaves you with a complete wholesome feeling of good lyrics, good singing, and good sound and good composition.
If you were to look back at your journey and where you've come today, how did it all begin for you?
So at the age of 8, I remember my someone from my family had there was some get together at home, and someone gave me a small Casio keyboard, and that was the last time I looked at my toys, and I left all of that and I started playing the keyboard.
Yes.
And my mom enrolled me into these piano classes, and I did Trinity College of London,
Yes.
and I learned theory. I learned did a lot of practical exams. It had rock school also and jazz a little bit. I was learning mainly Western classical,
Hmm.
but somewhere YouTube started coming in, and I used to hear a lot of different music, and I wanted to branch out of just classical music. I started trying jazz or maybe try rock and pop and just listen to a lot of music and learn those productions. So it began officially for me at the age of 16 when I assisted. There was this composer called Amar Mohile.
Yes.
There was a very, very famous film called Sarkar, which had
Hmm.
Amitabh Bachchan. So the score was done by him, and that was the first film that I assisted on. And from there, I had the opportunity to work with many different composers like Salim Suleiman or Sandeep Chota, and some guidance from Preetham. So they've all somehow shaped my thinking towards music and my sound. So I'm glad that I met on my way to here wherever I am. It's just the beginning for me. It's just been 5 6 years,
Hmm.
but for me to be here, they have defined my music. Obviously, my family has musicians, dad and my uncle and grandfather. But apart from that, these few musicians, even Vishal Shekhar, all of them have somehow helped me grow my music. And today when I do some songs and they like it, they call me and they congratulate me for that. So it feels good. The people I worked for also like my music.
Amazing indeed. Now, your brother Arman and you have collaborated on a number of hit and chart topping songs right here in South Africa as well. Do you ever have creative differences and how do you overcome them?
We only have creative differences. That's also one of the reasons why we never made a team, because we disagree so much that we would not be able to finish work together. So he comes from a very different mindset, and obviously he's more of a singer, and he creates a lot of good English music as well. If you see, he's reached out and as to become the youngest singer from this country to have a poster in Times Square, a billboard, advertising his song, all those things. I don't think that happens to many people, and he's worked really hard for it. But somewhat, his Indian classical music is what defines him also. He's got those Indian roots, and he's learned a lot of Hindustani music, and I've learned a lot of Western music. So we bring the right amount of balance to our songs. And even as kids, when he was listening to a hardcore Hindustani ghazals or classical songs, I was listening to complete. I was listening to dirty pop, that kind of vibe.
Yes, yes.
And this was not my school. And that exchange happened when he was about 13 and I must be about 18. He's 5 years younger to me.
Yes.
So I gave him my iPod and I said, listen to all of this. And then he used to play me the music he's listening to. So I think both of us are, we feed off each other. We make music that, connects to people our age, and somewhat, sometimes songs like Main Rahu Ya Na Rahu, it's one of my most successful independent songs. They have been loved by people who are 60, 70, or maybe even 80. I've seen, really elderly couples come up to me and Arman and say, you all have done music which we would also like to listen to.
Hmm.
So I think we both really connect on a different level. But once we're in the studio, then it's a war because I'm getting out what I want and he's doing what he knows. So we keep fighting. There's a song we did from the movie De De Pyar De Chali Aana.
Yes.
And during that recording, I've literally thrown a book across to the singing dubbing room. So we have our fights, but it turns out to be a good song always.
There's nothing wrong with some healthy banter. What do you feel is your best song that you've composed to date?
So it's exactly this song that I spoke about, Main Raho Ya Na Raho. If you want, I'll sing it for you.
Please do.
And मुझ में कहीं बाकी रहना, मुझे नींद आए जो आखिरी, तुम ख्वाबों में आते रहना, बस इतना है तुमसे कहना, बस इतना है तुमसे कहना, बस इतना है तुमसे कहना, बस इतना है तुमसे कहना.
Wow, absolutely amazing. That's going to be my favorite song as well. I'm going to definitely play that on the radio.
I think this song has a kind of a very positive vibe,
Yes,
and while we were working on it, it's a tribute to our grandfather, Shri Sardar Malik, who
yes.
was the first composer from this family. So it's always going to be special, and not just me, a lot of my fans also believe, and my friends also believe that this is one of my best, but I feel it's my best.
Which musician would you like to collaborate with?
That's a tough one. Like, I never thought, like, I grew up listening to U2 so much, and I got a chance to collaborate with them, and we did an Indian version of their song Beautiful Day, and it was unbelievable, the love that that song got. So a lot of artists, actually, I'm looking, like, in Bollywood, if you would say, or like Indian film music industry, then singers like Sunidhi is someone I've never worked with, but really
Wow.
admire and love her voice. And I really love Hari Haran sir. I think he is someone, such a big legend. I hope someday he sung for my dad on one song, but I hope he can sing for me. And a lot of musicians, a lot of maybe not very famous ones, but there are a few musicians that I've found over the internet and looked up and heard their music, and they are working with me on the score of my next film. So I keep looking for a lot of new people, but obviously there are some collaborations which will happen, and obviously someone like I what's his name, I forget, Phineas. I really love his music. It's beautiful. That's the kind of music that I would like to make. I'd love to collaborate with him.
Wow, amazing indeed. If you, on a scale of 1 to 10, had to rate your new single compared to your last one, which one would you say is better?
New single, okay, you mean Dil Ko Maine Di Kasam and Zara Thero.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, for me, Zara Thero would be a 9, and Dil Ko Maine Di Kasam would be 8, because that's me. I would rate my previous single bigger because it's experimental. It's not regular. And Dil Ko Maine Di Kasam is perfectly, a tribute to the simplicity of the 90s. It's got the stamp of the 90s Hindi music. So obviously it's more for the audience, and it's not got too much of, experimentation, I feel. So as a musician, I'm completely satisfied with both songs, but I think Zara Thero is something that makes me feel proud that I got something new out there.
What are some of the new projects that we can look forward to that you're working on currently?
So there's this movie by Sabir Khan. It's got this actor called Abhimanyu who debuted in a movie called Mard Ko Dard Nahi Hota. That's a complete new young love story. Then there's this biopic on the Indian badminton player Saina Nehwal. So I'm scoring the songs and the soundtrack, the score, the entire film in a way. And there are about there are other two films that I'm still, it's not signed, but I'll be talking about them soon. But they're two nice, really good scripts that I'm working on. So I think there'll be about 3-4 films that'll be have my music next year, and more towards independent music. I'm going to be taking that jump really soon. I'm working on my debut single where I'm going to feature and sing
Oh,
and
wow.
compose. So work's happening on that right now.
I'm sure many have asked you as well. Are you not looking at considering doing acting as well?
Yeah, they keep doing that to me, but I want to tell them through this show that I'm not really into that. I'm not good at that. I can maybe play myself or something I relate to as a character, and I'll keep doing that for my music videos. But music and composing, and I'm more of that studio and creator vibe than acting. I wouldn't be able to act too much.
Now, I've seen some of your YouTube videos. One of my friends actually traveled to Dubai to catch a show with you and your brother last year as well. You guys have so much fun when you're performing live. If you were to choose between performing on stage live or composing a song in the studio, which one would you choose and why?
Oh, that's so hard. You just cornered me. But yeah, I think performing on stage would be, I wouldn't lie, but it would be first. Even though I love composing, nothing comes to me before music. But that love, that interaction with fans, and that boosts you to work harder. I think the more you meet people who love your music, who are critical about your music, we've got fans who are not really just listeners. They know a lot of technical stuff, and which
Yeah.
they mark out the seconds and point it out to us that this could have been better, or we didn't like this section. So I love that about our whole fandom. So that would be one thing I obviously miss a lot. If I was on stage, it makes me happy. People singing the whole song with you, and that's a different feeling altogether.
So we hope to see you in South Africa very soon once this whole pandemic is over.
Yeah, I hope. I see a lot of listeners from South Africa, messaging me, and there are a few fan clubs on Instagram also who keep asking when we have a show there. But I think now once everything's done, we will ourselves try to plan a show and come and see you guys there.
How have you been dealing with the pandemic?
I think I've been with it the best. It's been my most important holiday. I've got 3 months to myself. I've created music which I wouldn't be able to maybe create if I hadn't got that break. So I'm really happy. I know it's tough. It's the first few recordings that happened. The first 2 months were just more like a holiday. But when work started, it was challenging. We had to record an orchestra in Macedonia, but we did it through Skype. And if it
Oh,
was open, we would have traveled. But those things were also special. They're going to be special. Anything that anyone has done this year, I think maybe if they're artists or if they're, any field, any business or work, I think everyone's in this together. So it's important to just try and keep sane and keep doing what we like. That'll get us through this.
amazing, because I mean, I get to chat to you face to face as well, like this, which wouldn't have presented itself in the past. So I think it's an amazing experience as well. If you can have fans remember you for one thing, what would that be?
I think I don't stand, or sit down or like be bullied into not voicing my voice. The most
Mhm.
important thing is that I stand for who I am and I stand for my thoughts. And it's important, a lot of my fans think it's dangerous sometimes to be so truthful,
Yes.
and they feel, are you sure, the way you speak? um I say only one thing. I said, if I'm honest to my music and you guys love me, then I don't need to be afraid or hide anything. So I
Mhm.
think that quality is something I want all of them to have and imbibe, that uh, you got to take everything head on. It's You can't just sit down. So chin up and round two. That's how I am, and I think that's how they're gonna be.
Amal, thank you so much for chatting to us right here on East Wave Radio as well as Sunny Talkies South Africa. It certainly was such a great pleasure having you with us here. And we
Thank you.
wish you all the success with Dilko Mene Di Kasam.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you.